Let's go back in time about 5 years. I remember watching a video back in March of 2020 during COVID where Glenn from the YouTube channel Glenn and Friends Cooking was demonstrating how to make your very own batch of beer. I think the video was called 1 Gallon Beer, Your First Homebrew Recipe, or something like that. And I remember thinking how fascinating the process was from beginning to end. Matter of fact, I'll put a link to his video in the description box if you want to check it out. And ever since then, I've always wanted to make my first batch of beer. And I'm going to be completely honest, and I get it. Some people make it look incredibly easy. But the more research that I did on making beer, the more confused I got. What equipment did I need to buy? Everybody online was an expert. It's very overwhelming sometimes looking at the craft of beer making. And for whatever reason, I just kind of put it on the back burner. Until today. I was introduced to a device. It's right here behind me. A lot of you have said, hey, what's that unit right there behind you? Well, it's called the iGulu. It's a home brewing device. And the iGulu guarantees that you could brew beer at home without all the fuss, without all the mess, without all the problems that are typically associated when it comes to brewing beer for the first time. Now, for someone like myself who's been putting the craft off for 5 years, for one reason or another, something like this kind of made sense. It's an all-in-one unit. It ferments, it cold crashes, it carbonates, and then it keeps it at refrigerator temperature, or whatever temperature you want to set it at. And all you got to do is pull the tap, and you got yourself a nice frosty brew. So what we're going to be doing in this episode is something that I've been wanting to do for a very long time. We are going to be brewing my very first batch of beer, 1 gallon of it, in the iGulu. Let's do it. All right, I know some of you brewmasters out there probably consider this cheating, but that's all right. We're going to be using a kit from iGulu. Today, I think we're going to make the Amber Lager. Should be pretty cut and dry. I feel like it's going to be pretty easy. The instructions say, sanitize your equipment, pour the contents of the pouch into the 1 gallon jug. So it doesn't seem like there's any grain. Nope, it's powder. All right, so we're dealing with DME, Sparkling Amber Dry Malt Extract. Kit also comes with some yeast and a couple different type of hops. Excellent. And then an RFID chip that lets the iGulu know, what you're brewing. I guess each pack has its own RFID chip. We're going to be sanitizing everything with Star Sand. I would imagine this is the most important step in beer making, keeping everything nice and sanitized. And we're making 3 gallons of sanitized solution. So I'm going to use 18 ml inside those 3 gallons. All right. And everything that's going to come into contact with our beer, I'm going to let it hang out in that sanitizing solution. I do want to pull a little of that sanitizer out, set it to the side in the event that we have to sanitize something on the machine itself. We'll have that ready to go. And let's take a look at what we need to do in the machine. This is literally the first time that I'm using this. You've got a top. You've got a 1 gallon jug that fits right inside. You've got the hose that allows you to, pour your beer or whatever drink you're making. And all that's going to go into the sanitizing solution. And now I'm going to sanitize the jug. And at this point, I feel like the process is pretty much identical to every other project that requires fermentation. If you're going to make mead, wine, hard cider, whatever, sanitizing your equipment, that's, step number 1. Where I think we're going to notice a huge difference in the process is utilizing this kit. So we'll see how easy that is. Everything is sanitized. We're just going to pour the sanitizer back into the container that I have it in. And we can now proceed with the recipe. This is technically brew day right here. And we're going to fill the 1 gallon jug to the first line. That's 116 ounces. This is according to the package directions. I'm using non-chlorinated water. And the next step is to add our hops. So it seems like they've got 2 different types of hops. One for aroma and the other for bitterness. All right, so I'm just going to cut the top off of these 3 and add them all at the same time. It doesn't really say, hey, you should add one at the beginning or one at the end. I don't think it matters all that much. Great aroma coming from the extracts. Very nice. Next step is to add the DME. So we're just going to add 100% of that and give it a stir. Just kind of make sure everything's well incorporated. All right. And then finally, we're going to add our yeast. Now, the yeast instructions simply say to just add it to the top. Don't mix it in. I'm sure you could. Matter of fact, I think if you did mix it in, you might incorporate a little oxygen, which would be beneficial for the yeast. And that's it. We're now going to cover it up and
the process is finished. So this is what brew day looks like for this beginner. Little to no time. There's literally no mess. I mean, as far as dishes to clean up, nothing. That's it. We've put the cap on it. We're now going to secure it with the clamp that comes with it. Just latch it in place. All right. It does feel a little loose right here, but I feel like as this ferments, that pressure is going to tighten it up a bit. Let's set it inside the machine. This is the S1 from iGulu. And right here, I am going to sanitize the top. So we're just going to give that a spray, make sure that everything, all the connections and whatnot are sanitized as well. Anything that might introduce anything unwanted to the mix. Finally, we're going to add the pour hose and just snap that right there on the top. To attach it, you do have to pull the tap forward, and it allows you to slide that hose into it. Pretty easy, though. I am going to clamp that down so that during the fermentation or when that pressure gets built up, no liquid wants to come out of it. Close it down, turn the machine on. And this is the first time I'm turning the machine on, so it's going to ask me the language and a quick response code for the app, which I happen to set up off camera. If you look on the screen, you have bottling, kombucha, refrigeration options. From the screen, you can select different fermentation options. So if you're going to make, your own recipe, you can choose from their presets. There is a master mode that allows you to create your own recipe, but that's not included with the base model. We'll get into that in a different video. Currently, the unit is set to air. You do have options for carbonation if you do happen to get that accessory. But for now, we're going to use the RFID chip to let the machine know we're brewing an amber lager. So we're just going to swipe that right there on the side of the machine, and it should automatically register, and there it is. Traditional amber lager. So it has its own, brew schedule for this particular recipe. Let's see what it says. Okay, 57 degrees for 15 days, 37 degrees for 2 days, and then 37 degrees for 3 days at a lower PSI. Let's click next, and it tells us to avoid CO2 during brewing. We currently have the air on. The CO2 is off. It's just a friendly reminder. Let's click next again, and the fermentation process now begins. Notice it says we have 20 days remaining. In just a couple hours, the temperature has gotten down to 59 Fahrenheit, which is probably going to hover there for the next 2 weeks. 15.8 is our PSI right now, 37 degrees Fahrenheit. We've got 5 days remaining. So we're going to let this do its thing, and over the next few days, that PSI is going to drop, and this process will be finished. And this is the screen that you get at the very end of the process. So since we have the CO2 option, we're going to set that up right now. On the back of the unit, we're going to press the button so it pops out, and then the color will change. It's now green, and we now have to set up the CO2 tank, and this is just a standard SodaStream tank. It's not the quick connect, it's the one with the threaded end. We're turning the valve on, and then we're going to turn the knob to regulate the pressure. You could put this to whatever you want, depending on what you're making. I'm going to set it to around 10 or so, maybe a little bit higher PSI. And once you have all that dialed in, we're just going to turn on the gas. I'm going to hit next and just let this hang out for a couple of days so that it can properly carbonate.
All right, 3 weeks have passed, and the iGulu has taken care of virtually every one of the processes. Brew day took about 10 minutes. It didn't take very long at all. I mean, it was ridiculously easy. And the unit fermented. It then cold crashed. Right now, and this is what happens after your cycle is complete, the unit will go into refrigeration mode, and this is sitting at 37 degrees Fahrenheit
with added carbonation and a PSI of 9.7.
We're going to go ahead and pour ourselves a glass right now, give it a taste, and we'll talk about it. All right, guys, we've got our amber lager. Absolutely beautiful. Nice head retention. Wow, that smells incredible. It almost has almost like a light citrus honey, strangely enough, bread thing going on, like fresh baked bread with butter, honey on top, and a citrus element to it. Huh, that's wild. Cheers. Oh, that's good. I am very pleased with that. I mean, the machine basically did most of the work, but this is absolutely delicious. Very smooth, very drinkable. Not too very strong. I would say probably somewhere in that, probably 5 ABV, somewhere in that category. The hops that was used, let's see here, for this recipe was the Hersbrucker, and you could definitely pick up the aromas from it. Not so much the bitterness. I feel like the aromas are really coming through. A little fruity, a little floral. I do taste the citrus more than I'm smelling it, though, actually. I like it. What a great first run. Some could argue, is this even brewing beer? I mean, we did use a kit after all. The iGulu took care of the rest. Very hands-off. Out popped an amber lager. I mean, little to no effort. For me, this was a very convenient and easy way to dip my toes into the craft of beer making. And I can see me taking this to a completely different level. Right now, our avenue is the iGulu because it allows me to make beer safely, confidently, without all the fuss. But I promise you, if you stick around, we're going to be doing all sorts of stuff in here, whether it's hard kombucha, maybe we're going to be making non-alcoholic beer, or maybe we're going to do whole grain beer, but do it in the iGulu. Who knows where the journey's going to take us? I can tell you one thing, this is just the beginning, and for someone like me, all it takes is a start. Have a little bit of success to pique my curiosity to go, what's next? And I say cheers to that. Wow, that's nice. It's very exciting. Produce a cup of beer. If you want to get into beer making, but just the craft overwhelms you, and maybe you don't have a lot of space for a bunch of different equipment, this may be a device you want to check out. The iGulu sells two different models. They have an F1, which is a little more expensive, few more bells and whistles. And then they have the one I have here, which is the S1, slightly more affordable. I'll put a link to their website in the description box below, and you can read up on both units, see which one is right for you. Very excited about this homebrew journey. Today we took a baby step, produced a beautiful beer, and I'm looking forward to the next one. I hope you can join me in the next episode. Be sure to click that subscribe button if you're not already subscribed. And if you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button. Thanks a lot for being here. We'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye. Oh.